A young man turns 15 at the start of high school. He hangs out with a few friends at school, and every day he goes home to his computer to play video games and watch YouTube videos. Before the end of freshman year, he's texting a classmate, but with every sent message comes thoughts of judgment, rejection, and ever-increasing stress, self-doubt, and insecurities. To him, this person is his life preserver in a severe storm, and if he screwed up one stroke, he would be lost at sea, left to drown. Eventually, this friend stops texting. No warning, no reason, no nothing. The teen is consumed by the darkness of hopelessness and is left alone without a close friend. That year, the student's energy level decreases dramatically, his anxiety and stress levels increase, he isn't fully there in the moment, and eventually he is diagnosed with adrenal fatigue. Yet this boy is not alone. 40% of teens and young adults feel the same way. For the first time, 16 to 24-year-olds are the loneliest people in society and have passed those 75 and over. This is detrimental to the upcoming generations. People need relationships with each other because health and community stemmed out of flourishing relationships. Although it does come from marriage, it also comes from friendship. Friendship plays a critical role in people's lives which today's culture doesn't portray. The rise of social media and emphasis on dating has resulted in a world that is confused about friendship. Friendships are shallow, which entails hanging out with each other, scrolling through their feeds, and sharing memes, nothing more. According to both Aristotle and C.S. Lewis, friends need a common ground to be friends over, but posts on social media almost never have any substance to them, so many relationships aren't friendships. Friendship no longer exhibits bearing each other's burdens and walking through life together. Loneliness is much more prominent in today's media-driven world due to virtual communities where users can communicate through a social platform, which is a problem since isolation destroys mental and physical health. Certain steps need to be taken to live in face-to-face community and improve health. Isolation destroys mental health through loneliness and hopelessness and destroys physical health through stress and anxiety, overworking the adrenal glands, and a low vagal tone. Before lonely people are able to move into community, they must first realize they are isolated and in an unhealthy situation. Then they need to start relationships, and after creating that foundation for friendships, to go deeper in those relationships. Loneliness is terrible. It's having no one. As a relational species, we need people. Lonely people who can't find friends or a group to be accepted in look to social media for their relationships. These people are looking for a community they are welcomed into and a place to find happiness and hope. For many, YouTube channels are that place. Viewers spend months worth of time watching creators' videos, and through that, viewers connect with the creator, so much so that YouTuber feels like a close friend to the viewers. A 2015 study executed by Google concluded that 4 in 10 millennial subscribers say their favorite creator understands them better than their friends. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of cases of viewers leaving comments, talking to the creator at conventions, or sending letters about their personal lives, saying the creator has helped them through a hard time and have given them happiness and hope. YouTube channels like these give a sense of community that resemble a real relationship so closely it's easy to think it's real. However, these virtual relationships aren't personal. Viewers think they are having a friendship when relationships through social media are only an illusion that gives a sense of community. Not only does this apply to the viewers, but also the creators. Peter McKinnon, a successful filmmaker, vlogger, and film teacher with over 3 million subscribers, made a video titled, "YouTube is the loneliest job I've ever had." In his video, he asked 6 of his fellow content creators and friends about YouTube being lonely. McKinnon describes the job. You're in solitude for almost the entirety of the process. You're coming up with ideas by yourself, you're shooting everything yourself, and you're talking to yourself, and you're editing yourself. This is the only job I've ever had where I don't really see anyone on a daily basis. McKinnon asked his friend Dennis Prescott, do you ever get lonely doing what you do based on the fact that you also work pretty much in solitude almost every day? And Prescott responds with, yeah, I do get lonely. You're never around other people that love what you do. You're never connecting with people in your community. You need that group in your life. These are content creators who found success on social media, making videos and taking pictures for a living, and value their viewers, but make it evident that YouTube is lonely, comments aren't an equal substitute to face-to-face connection, and people must make an effort to have meaningful real-life relationships. Loneliness, if not solved, develops into hopelessness. Lonely people ask themselves why they don't have any friends, and some blame others for not caring about them. However, many blame themselves and think they are the problem, and if only they were different, they wouldn't be alone. They fall into this negative thinking and find everything wrong with themselves and their life. They think they screw up everything, there's nothing appealing about them, and they won't ever have any friends. These are just a couple of comments people have made. This kind of thinking rewires the brain into a loop that constantly reminds people how worthless they are and how hopeless life is. These people want to escape these thoughts, but everything they've tried doesn't help. In some instances, they see suicide as the only escape because it solves the problem of a miserable future, them being the problem, and them not being tortured by their despairing thoughts any longer. All this undoubtedly cripples mental health and has the power to destroy so much more. Isolation not only affects people mentally, but also physically. When people have the mentality that they are the problem and life will never get better, these thoughts are stressful and can cause anxiety. Anxiety, loss of control, panic attacks, and similar episodes are extremely stressful for those experiencing them. Stress has physical effects on the body, some of which can be chronic and life-threatening. One of these effects is adrenal fatigue, which is when the adrenal glands are overworked. Adrenal glands produce adrenaline and cortisol in fight or flight situations. In other words, whenever the body is stressed. Constant stress from the surrounding world, family life, school, work, loneliness, etc. forces the body to constantly run on adrenaline. The glands are built for emergency situations only, not to be used every day. When they are constantly working for months or years, it strains them to the point that they are unable to continue doing their job. Symptoms of chronic adrenal fatigue include feeling tired all day with sleep, getting sick more, not thinking clearly, lightheadedness, mood swings, desire to eat constantly, not feeling yourself, etc. Another condition caused by stress is a low vagal tone. Dr. Jennifer Weinberg, a physician, MD, and Master of Public Health, explains that the vagus nerve controls the body's rest and digest instruction, which counteracts fight or flight. Some people have stronger vagus nerve activity than others, allowing their bodies to relax more quickly after stress. The strengthier vagus response is known as vagal tone. Chronic stress causes a low vagal tone, meaning the vagus nerve takes much longer to tell the body to relax, leaving the body running on adrenaline for as long as a few days. Additionally, studies show a low vagal tone index is associated with inflammation, depression, negative moods, loneliness, heart attacks, and stroke. In the end, a long experience of stress and the body's failure to relax not only affects every aspect of one's experience with day-to-day life, but can also result in death. In spite of this, some argue social media's front gives a safe space for introverts to communicate without anxiety. Those who are shy and socially awkward can express their thoughts at their own pace behind the safety net of an online profile. Journalist and marketing coach Belinda Griffin expounds that social media gives time to introverts to write what they want to say so they don't have to think on their feet as quickly as when having a face-to-face conversation. Virtual communities are also a safe space without hardly any judgment because profiles let only a sliver of personalities through, leaving people almost fully protected and invulnerable to attacks on their character. However, social media gives introverts a sense of community without requiring them to say a single word. Videos, posts, and comments create a feeling of connection to other people through users sharing their lives, making introverts feel connected to others. This allows introverts to not interact with anyone. Since people don't have to start relationships to know what people are doing in life, they can sit back and scroll through people's lives without ever saying a word to them. This lets introverts sink deeper into their loneliness while deceiving them that they are in community. Some claim social media doesn't lead users into isolation if it's used to continue or result in a personal face-to-face relationship. Students use Instagram and Snapchat to share their lives through pictures and videos with their friends from school when they aren't face-to-face. Likewise, people text to keep long-distance relationships going. Dating websites are a place to meet people in hopes of seeing them face-to-face, dating, and possibly getting married. These relationships are started online but are meant to carry over in person. Yet, social media leads users into isolation even when used to continue or result in a personal face-to-face relationship. Sporadic posts on social media hardly holds any value in a friendship, and long-distance relationships who don't frequently meet in person rarely lasts. Dating websites aren't a good way of meeting someone to date because there are imposters, people who lie on their profiles and misrepresent themselves, and many people act different over text than in real life. There are few cases of dating websites bringing a perfect match together, but according to Michigan State University, relationships that start out online are 28% more likely to break down in their first year than relationships where the couple first met face-to-face. And it gets worse. Couples who met online are nearly 3 times as likely to get divorced as couples that met face-to-face. Ultimately, virtual communities, even when used as an extension of real life, often results in isolation. With all this in mind, there is a method to overcome isolation, loneliness, negative thinking, hopelessness, and the dangers of stress. The first step is to come out of isolation into community, is for isolated people to realize they are isolated and it's unhealthy to stay that way. Step 2 is act, but before any physical act can be done, spiritual action needs to be taken. God doesn't desire for his people to be hopeless, isolated from the world, or think they are worthless. God values life and he calls people to be in the world. Isolated people need to strengthen their relationship with God, and from that, joy and hope flows as described in Romans 15. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that you will abound in hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. This is a big step for isolated people who've fallen into hopelessness and are overwhelmed with degrading thoughts of themselves because now they have joy and hope for a future. Isolated people also don't know how to socialize because they hardly talk to real people and they didn't communicate with people on social media at a personal level, if at all. Virtual communities cause plenty of people to interact differently on social media than face-to-face. Due to the differences, isolated people need to learn how to socialize in real life. A good start is small talk and making their way into others' lives just by hanging out with others. The second step builds the foundation for step 3, which is to go deeper in the friendships they started. Our culture doesn't go deeper and is filled with surface relationships and doesn't consist of many supporting, loving relationships. Isolated people need to ease into intimate friendships by having deeper conversations. In the end, it will result in friendships of bearing each other's burdens, stress, and working through life together. Through this process, isolated people can move into community and have intimate friendships. It's not only good to be in community for health's sake, but God commands his people to do so. The Great Commission in Matthew 28 says, "Go, therefore, and make disciples of all the nations." The God-given mission is people. It is the Christian's task to talk to people and to be friends with people and to support people and to both enjoy and endure life with people. God also calls his followers to be friends for others, bearing stress and problems together, as Galatians 6 commands. Bear one another's burdens and thereby fulfill the law of Christ. Lastly, God knows the importance of friendship, for two are better than one, because if either of them falls, the one will lift up his companion. But woe to the one who falls when there is not another to lift him up. Returning to the story of the lonely boy, at countless hours of the night, the lone soul cries himself to sleep, haunted by the thought screaming, "Alone, no one cares, it's never going to get better." He lay on that bed, destroyed from the inside out, all confidence evaporated, contemplating if the world would even care if he were dead. That pain, that agony, that brokenness, night after night, week after week, month after month. He could have stopped there, but instead, he realizes he is lonely, isolated, and his health is declining. He recognizes that people on a screen aren't enough, so he starts talking to real people and spending time with others. By the end of the year, he has gone deeper than small talk, sparking the beginning of a few friendships that carry over into his senior year. These friends quickly grow closer, and at long last, life is less stressful, less anxious, not depressing, not hopeless, but more bearable. This now young adult, affected physically by stress, anxiety, and adrenal fatigue, and affected mentally by isolation and hopelessness, through the process of realizing his isolation, talking to others, and building friendships, came out of loneliness and into healthy community. Thank you.